I assume it's.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Yes. Let's get started for the second time. Our guest today is David Meyer. My name is Will Brooks. I'm a creative director at Levick Entertainment. I am not the technical director, clearly, because we started this podcast about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and I realized we weren't going live. But David is a gracious guy and was like, "Let's restart this thing." So we've got David Meyer here with us, who is the founder of Spoke Marketing. Somebody who knows our owner Armando and has known him for a little while, and asked David to join us on the show. So I'm super glad that you're here, David. And I'm glad you're accepting of my my technical foibles. Yeah, man, glad you're with us. Before we weren't live, you were kind of cueing me in a little bit about what you guys do. We were talking a little bit about storytelling and marketing and how important that is. So tell me a little bit, David. I'm gonna let you start again because you were getting into some good stuff. Tell me a little bit about Spoke and what you guys do and who you guys help and the idea of, how important storytelling is into branding and marketing with what you guys are doing.
It all starts with storytelling, but the clients we help were primarily business to business. We do have B2C, fiber internet. And you know what? It's interesting how agencies break themselves up into business to business or business to consumer because it's all people to people,
right?
So it's still, regardless of what you're marketing, you're still marketing to people, and the storytelling is certainly an element of it. I think, but it's also figuring out what the right story is. Like, you can tell a story and bore someone to death.
Sure.
Have a story, or you can have a story that compels someone to do something. So the first step before storytelling is figuring out what it is that is going to resonate with the audience. So for us, it's you start with the prospect, not the product. So you want to frame things in the prospect's head. And it's one of the problems people have with storytelling is they're so excited to tell you this or that or whatever. And it's not what you want to say. It's what they want to hear.
Right.
So before we get into the storytelling, we do a lot of brand strategy and positioning around that first. But then the story is certainly important. And we say that you haven't told your story until someone else can tell it. So if you've told me your story and I can't repeat it, you haven't told me your story.
Right.
So it's got to be clear, concise, compelling, all the good things a story needs to be. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite phrases that I like to use with people that we work with is like, what I'm always looking for is the connective tissue. That's my phrase is like, I got to find that connective tissue between your brand and your story. Cause your story is not, it's weird, right? Your story is your brand, but it's also not your brand cause it's your story. But we gotta find a way to connect that and make that interesting to people and make it.
Your story happens in their head.
Right.
So that's the canvas you're painting on. So if you've got to work through that filter.
100%. So, what are some common challenges that the businesses you guys work with are facing when they're trying to effectively communicate their brand story?
I think the biggest problem is figuring out what to say. You know what? It's not figuring out what to say. So we work with a lot of companies that run on EOS.
I saw that on your website.
and they work on EOS or Pinnacle or Scaling Up or Systems, so any of those systems.
Right.
And they're all varying degrees of the same thing. The book Traction is a great book, but it could also be titled No Shit.
Yeah.
It's like, have a shared vision, have goals, have everyone moving in the same direction, have milestones and goals that you want to hit every quarter, and hold people accountable and keep track of how you're doing and measure yourself and improve. No shit. But it's really doing it. I think so many entrepreneurs, and that's mostly who we work with, is entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
It's that shiny object syndrome. Like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And it's like, wait. And that's really was transformative for our business when we started running on EOS. We're like, because entrepreneurs and maybe marketing people, we have good ideas. We have bad ideas all the time, but we have good ideas all the time too. And so it's easy to, get high on your own supply and be like, oh, that's a great one, let's do this. And you can't. You got to stay focused. So
100%. Yeah, we implemented about a year ago. It's kind of it's related to EOS. It's called Bloom Growth.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. So we've been, I don't know if you know John Glon or not, but we've been
I do.
Glon is our Bloom Growth.
I didn't know he was doing
and coach. Okay. Yeah, and he's been working with us for about a year. We're actually doing our annual meeting with him in a couple of weeks, and it's been kind of a game changer for us because you said Armando, and you guys are buddies. He is shiny object syndrome all the way, and it's great for us, but it can also be a hindrance where we're trying to get everything done, and then new things get added onto the pile, and it's like, well, the Spider-Man meme where you got 3 different Spider-Men pointing at each other, like, you do it, no, you do it, no, you do. Who's going to do this? That's kind of what we find ourselves in a lot. But the Bloom Growth,
accountability.
Yeah. It's been a real game changer for us. So
Todd Smart over Bloom Growth is a great guy. And what I really like about, I like a lot about, like, every one of them have something great.
Right.
The thing I think Bloom has going for it was its involvement with EOS for so long.
Right.
And Traction Tools, I think, was what it was called. So the data that they have on what works, what doesn't, like, it's just astounding. And they're taking EOS to the next level, or so they say. They're all.
I can't. You just do that because Bloom's the only one that we've actually used. We've all read Traction, but we weren't implementing EOS in the business. But the Bloom Growth implementation has just been great for us. So,
and if you run 50% on if you're getting a D on any of those systems, it's 1,000% better than you were doing before.
Yeah. I think that's for sure. Cause I think starting out, first 3-4 months, we probably were getting a D, cause we were just learning how to use it, but we were still seeing so many things that were just running smoother and better. And the communication is so much better. So I hear you, man. So when you guys are working with companies, like you get a client in, are you guys targeting clients that are specifically using EOS type things in their business, or is that just, are you coming in and saying, hey, are you recommending that they're doing that? Like, how are you using the EOS side of things into what you guys do?
We attract companies that run on EOS.
Okay.
And if we were targeting companies, ideally they'd be running on EOS. Not all of our clients run on EOS, and that's fine.
Sure.
It's just when they are on EOS or Bloom or whatever, there's a shared language, because they all say that. I mean, it might be, the nomenclature might be a little bit different, but it's a shared language. And
sure.
The thing that those companies have in common, there's, I guess, call it a psychographic, where they want to grow, and they want to grow smart. They want to improve, and they're holding themselves accountable. And there's data. One of the biggest changes, night and day for companies working on EOS, and it's not always the case, but it's having the data and the scorecards.
Right.
You're in the creative business, so how hard it is to get like actionable feedback from clients on what's working. Like you guys want, and we do too, to do the best job we can for our clients.
Right.
So we want to A/B test things. We want to see what's working and what's not.
Yeah. And
having that scorecard, and having the accountability for it helps us tremendously. Awesome. Back to messaging, the thing that all of those companies have in common as well, they call it something different. In EOS, they call it a VTO. It's a strategy document.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's what we are. Here's what we're great at. Here's what makes us unique. Here's where we're going, blah, blah, blah. And we love it. Like, they've done a fair amount of homework. They're not telling that story. You look at someone's VTO, and then you look at their website, and you wouldn't know it's the same company.
Yeah, the connective tissue, like I was saying before, it's not there.
Yeah, it's just not there. So being able to tell that story, and that positioning, which one of our core values is to challenge everything. So if someone gives us their VTO, we're gonna push where we need to push, and some of it's just so we understand, and some of it might just be, sharpening the knife a little bit so you can cut through the clutter.
That's awesome. Very cool. So tell me, I want to know, like, if companies, businesses, if they don't invest in developing like a compelling brand narrative, like how's that going to impact their sales? How's that going to impact their customer relationships? How's that going to affect them in a negative way?
It's, a brand is a mental shortcut for people. It's what they think of when they think of your company. It's where they position you. So it's not having that succinct is just going to make you some vendor, as opposed to a vendor that these are the people that do this really well.
Right.
So
right.
There's that, it's like there's that saying, the riches are in the niches, bitches. So it's like, you've got to stand for something and be the best at something. Otherwise you're competing with Amazon. It's like the marketplace of everything. You're nothing.
Right. Is there a niche that you guys have kind of nailed down on? Are you guys working on it in a particular niche?
One of our uniques is our people. So we've got a really seasoned team of really bright people, and we like challenges. We like to understand things deeply, and another one of our core values is get dirty. So it's like when there's something, a new business, a new whatever to understand, we get in and just tear it apart and understand it. And that's what we really like about our business. So we haven't picked, we started the business 16 years ago. So if 16 years ago, I would have said, let's be the agency for this. Mm-hmm. Didn't do it.
Right.
And it's been fun because I think we all have a little bit of ADD. So it's like, we love working on this client in this business, or this client in this business, or this industry or that industry. It's just exciting for us. So no, we've done everything. The one area that we probably have the most clients with was technology and software, because again, we're fairly smart people and can dig in and understand stuff. Professional services, manufacturing. In manufacturing, we love, well, for different reasons, but the horizontal, like we don't necessarily have a vertical. Hold on, the other one is fiber internet. So we kind of we stumbled into the fiber internet business about 6 years ago, and
That's a great time.
Yeah, and have expertise in that industry. So we've had that's one vertical, and again, that's the B2C. That's one of the B2C.
Right.
But that's an area where we definitely.
How many folks do you have working for you?
There are 10 of us.
10.
So
we niched down officially like about 3 or 4 months ago, where because the clientele that we work with the most has been in the legal field, has been lawyers. We worked with across all different kinds of verticals with different kinds of businesses, and we kind of made the decision about, it was not 6 months ago, it's probably about 2 or 3 months ago. We were like, why this is what we do well, this is the lane that we know well, we can speak this language, let's just go all in on legal. And part of the reason that we decided to do that was because when we did get a new client in that wasn't in the legal field, part of what I would do on my end was, okay, we have a client that, we have a restaurant owner that's come in, that we had a client that was a restaurant in New Orleans, and it was interesting. Their kind of their theme, they're a heart healthy restaurant. They had a lot of vegan food, a lot of vegetarian dishes and heart healthy dishes, but they're still traditional New Orleans fare, like gumbo and beignets and jambalaya. But you can't get vegan jambalaya, vegan gumbo, vegan beignets really anywhere, but they were doing it. So we had a lane, but I had to go all in on like learning about that avenue. And we're a small company as well. And we found that was kind of, because we're small, to take that time to like, okay, I've got to learn all of this about the vegan restaurant industry, but then I've also got to learn everything. I got to learn about personal injury law, and then I've also got to learn everything about. I'm trying to think of another. We had a theater we were working with, and had to go and learn about marketing for a theater. So we're just kind of all over the place, and we were finding that was kind of hindering growth for us because of the amount of time we were spending learning all these different verticals. How do you guys get past that?
I absolutely agree with you. I think we get past it because we're all really curious. I think so. This is in the 90s. I worked on Anheuser-Busch and Kellogg's and Coca-Cola and stuff like that. But let's just say Anheuser-Busch, I would work on a St. Patrick's Day promotion or campaign or something. And the first time I did it, I was like, oh my God, this is cool.
Right.
We're doing a poster of Kathy Ireland. Like, well, how fun is that? And then next year it was like, oh, okay, well, and the following year it was like, oh, and then the next year was like, in St. Patrick's Day.
Well, I got to do this fucking St. Patrick's Day campaign again.
Right. And it's like, so it just, I mean, it wasn't exciting. It wasn't. So there's something about continuous learning that I love about.
I love that too. But with the nature of what we do, we work we're working primarily like on social media and podcasting for the clients that we work with. We produce podcasts and we do social media content, and we're doing social media content constantly. And what you were just talking about, where you're talking about doing that once a year. If I'm working with a personal injury client, every month I have to come up with 30, 40 different pieces of content for them to post out every month. And you get 3 or 4 months in with personal injury law, and there's only so much that you can talk about. I mean, the stories are endless, and that goes back to the storytelling thing. And that's why we like to lean into the stories, because there's always a story to tell, as opposed to what do you do when you get in an accident? You can only cover that so many times. So interesting.
But the other element that I think you're probably like I'm assuming, going out on a limb here, that you don't represent personal injury attorneys in the same city.
Not, I mean, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's a very competitive field, but there's a ton of that kind of work to go around, and they're all, they're so, yeah, we have it. Not normally we generally have, one legal specialty in one particular metro area.
Yeah.
That's going to be a better way to go for sure.
Yeah. So we're just like, we're very, it's interesting. We're having this conversation. Clients haven't seemed to care about conflict of interest. Like,
Yeah.
none of our clients have ever mentioned it, but we're very conscious of it. And
who mentions it to me? Marketers. That's who tells me they're worried about. There's a guy that we do a podcast for he's a marketer. He does marketing for law firms, and we're producing his podcast, and I had another legal marketer on his show. I had booked another guy who's a marketer on his show, and we recorded the episode. Everything went great, and I talked to him afterwards, and he's like, I don't think I'm going to use that episode. And I said, why? And he said, well, there's a conflict of interest. I don't know that I want to promote what he's doing. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I think
so he felt it was a competitor.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, is conflict of interest, meaning if I've got a manufacturer of something in the gas and oil industry and they make a specific product, I couldn't have someone that makes that same product.
Sure.
I couldn't have someone. I have a plastics manufacturer. I can't have another plastics manufacturer.
Makes sense.
The insurance. So I think that's one of the things that's kept us from being too much in one vertical.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a machine shop manufacturer, there's probably, like, we could do the same work for someone in another geography,
part of the country. Yeah.
Because the shipping cost is so tough, but you want to do your absolute best. And if you've got two clients in the same industry, it's just an ethical marketing challenge that we just avoid.
Gotcha. Talk to me a little bit, David, about there's a couple of phrases that I saw on your site. You've got the refreshingly human approach.
Yeah.
And then you've got the fastest path to cash. Tell me a little, because we've got content. We had content in the cash for a while, but now we have content in the clients, kind of what our program is. So talk me a little bit about those two things.
So the refreshingly human is, people are motivated by emotion, and it's the human element that motivates people. That's how we make decisions, is based on emotion. Like every psychology book, every whatever will tell you that. And then we're big emotional meat bags, but we have a brain. So we think we're logical. Everyone thinks no one's like Spock. But we backfill what our gut is telling us with logic. So this is the right choice, and here's why. You give them the proof points.
Right.
So if you don't tap into the emotion and the human element, and making brands human, as human as possible and relatable as possible, you're doing a disservice. It's just, if you just go fact, nobody cares. It's like, what's the emotion behind it? So that's, there's another saying, emotion puts money in motion. So it's true. And then fastest path to cash is, there are so many things, like when we start working with a client, that they could be doing better, but we start with the ones that are going to have the highest ROI first.
The low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it might be, we've had clients where we come in and their close rate is horrible, or they're not. So it's like, okay, let's start there. Like, let's see what's happening there. Are there messages? Are there things you could be doing as someone's going through the buyer journey that'll help that? I mean, it could be. Look, I can't tell you the number of clients where we start. They don't have a CRM. It's not going to make us a ton of money. It's not super profitable for us, but holy God, is there going to be an ROI for them?
100%. And it's going to make the marketing that much more effective if they have the CRM in place. Yeah, we come across that all the time too.
Like, we come up sometimes with really big ideas, like, why don't you follow up with people after a trade show? It's like they're spending all this money on trade shows, and they come back with the digital equivalents of business cards in a shoebox.
For sure.
So they didn't go to the trade show with any meetings planned or any like direct intention or goals. And then they come back and it's like, no one's writing purchase orders at trade shows. I mean, it doesn't happen often.
Right.
So
you come back with we got 300 names. What do we do with them?
And it's like, well, here's an idea.
Call them.
It's like, so it's and then those are obviously outlandish examples. No, they're not outlandish.
They're not that outlandish, man. We see it all the time as well.
It happens all the time, but
yeah,
we want to do things that are going to move the needle as fast as possible for them. So we find the fastest path to cash.
Love it. I love that. Before we went live here, I was talking to you a little bit about one of the reason the show is called Partnership for Profits is we like to talk to people about valuable partnerships that people have formed that have kind of benefited their business. And you kind of scratch your head and we're like, I have to think about that. And I was just curious if there are any kind of partnerships. And it doesn't necessarily, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that it needs to be a joint venture, for example, or anything like that. It could be a matter of, Bob Schenefeld, right? You are you part of the what's the name of the group?
The Visionary Forum.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're a part of that.
Yeah,
that has been Armando being a part of that has been valuable for our business. I kind of view that as being a partnership where we've gotten to know. I'm meeting you today because of that. We've had a couple of clients that have come as a result of the forum. We're working with John Glahn, who's kind of transformed our operations because of the Visionary Forum. So to me, that is a partnership that has benefited us as a whole because of Armando being a part of that Visionary Forum. So think about it in those terms as far as partnerships go. If you can give me an example of something along those lines that's been valuable for you and for the business.
Probably give you a few. There's an organization called Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, and YPO, and Vistage. Those organizations are great. So we're members of EO, or I'm a member of EO, and that organization, like the Visionary Forum, so Bob was in EO. And he actually, Gino Wickman was in his EO forum. So EO, I describe EO as AA for business owners. It's like you meet with like-minded people, and you just sort of bare your soul, and there's instant trust and respect that you get there that I haven't found other places. And it's the willingness for people to help without asking any questions. I liken it to we're all in the same prisoner of war camp, and it's like, oh, you need to borrow my shiv? Yeah, no problem. Let me sharpen it first.
So it's like, hi, my name is David and I'm an entrepreneur. Hi, David.
But so there's that common understanding, but there's also I've been in that pain. I know someone who's been in that pain. Let me help you. And it's not let me help you and I've got my hand out. It's like, no, just let me help you. So there's that. I've never experienced anything like that.
I think that's what Armando's experience with the Visionary Forum has been similar to that as well.
Yeah. It's the Visionary Forum. There's summits that are a couple times a year,
Right.
and the difference with EO is you're meeting once a month with people in person for like 5 hours.
Oh wow.
So it's very similar, just a little bit more intense, I think. I love the Visionary Forum. The other thing I'd say is we try to be best in class at what we do, and we know what we don't do. And for instance, search engine optimization or pay-per-click or buying digital media. We don't do it at all.
Neither do we. And we turn people away all the time. Or we tell people will ask us, current clients will ask us, you guys do SEO? And we're quick to say, nope, we're not your guys for that. And that's so freeing to be able to be able to say, like, no, that's not what we do. A lot of people be like, oh, we could figure it out. That's the wrong answer, I think. Like, if you don't,
absolutely.
Yeah.
We say we don't do it, but then we say, here's who does. So we'll figure out. We've been in business. I mean, I didn't dye my hair gray, like, so I know a fair amount of people and really good people at what they do. So we partner with companies that specialize in SEO, pay-per-click, whatever. We're totally transparent with our clients that we're not doing this.
Right.
This is who's doing this. They can bill you directly. You can work with them directly. You can bill it through us.
Right.
Generally they want us to be the one throat to choke. Like, we're not good implementers of SEO. We're really good consumers of it. Like, we know what good looks like and we know the questions to ask. Right. Same with development. It's a simple website. We'll do it in-house. But if there's any complexity at all, we're really good buyers of development.
Yeah. I think you have to be to be a good marketer, you have to be able to kind of farm that stuff out to the right people.
Yeah. But again, it's more of a partnership in that, because they'll refer us business too. And it's not a quid pro quo thing. It's just like, they're like-minded, and if someone's coming to them looking for a digital campaign and they don't have good creative, a good SEO media shop be like, this isn't going to work. Like I can spend your money, but you're not going to get good results.
Right.
So they'll refer business back to us and say, first step, talk to these people, then we'll work with you.
I mean, that's another example of a partnership.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's why I brought it up.
Right on. Cool. Well, I mean, I could talk to you for an hour and a half, David. This is like, I think we connect on a lot of similar levels. We're dealing with a lot of the same things.
And then just another, like with the internet, fiber internet, there are other companies that we work with regularly that work, I mean, just from a technical standpoint or geography standpoint or market activation, boots on the ground, street teams. It's, those are partnerships.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're everywhere, right? I mean, that's when I pose that question to people, that they like you did, people immediately think, well, I can't think of anything, but we're dealing in partnerships every single day, referring that kind of work out. So I'm going to ask you one more question. Back to storytelling.
Yeah.
This is something that we kind of pride ourselves on in our business as storytelling experts. What's the key to building a long-lasting business relationship with a client? we've got clients that have been with us for years. Some clients stay for a few months and then they move on. I don't know if that's something you guys come across. I imagine you have over the many.
Our clients, we try to be the Hotel California. It's like
you can never leave. So how do you keep them from checking out? Like, what's the secret there for you guys?
I think the secret for us is we're upfront, we're honest. Nobody likes surprises unless there's a ribbon around it. So if there's something going wrong, we'll let them know right away.
Immediately, sure.
Yeah, and because stuff goes wrong. Print projects get screwed up. Something happens, and you just be upfront, honest. I think the account management is of utmost importance. Having that relationship and that trust. Clients will realize that they're getting bad account management way before they realize they're getting bad creative.
I agree.
And we try not to do bad creative, certainly, but it's that communication. It's telling them, here's where we're at, keeping them appraised on, here's the next step, here's where that project is. It's over communicating. And it's also understanding how the client wants to be communicated to.
Right.
Like we've got clients that if we called them on the phone, they'd kill us. No, they want a text message.
Yep.
Okay. So it's finding out how they want to be treated and treating them that way. And just brutal honesty and candor. And we'll call it like we see it sometimes. And I think they appreciate that.
I think they do too. We kind of operate in the same philosophy, so that's good to hear. Like when I hear things from someone like you who's been doing this longer than we have, and I hear the answer is similar to how we approach things, that lets me know that we are on the right track. Sometimes when you're working in the day to day, at least I do. I know I have moments where I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, do we even know what we're doing? And I hear from people that, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I ask myself that question all the time. And then I hear, like you said, brutal honesty, building a good, strong relationship with someone. And that's what we try to focus on doing. So that's gratifying to hear, because it lets me know.
Yeah. You have those people who say I could sell ice to an Eskimo. Like, well, great, but you're not going to get a repeat customer. Yeah. Your reputation's not going to be so good, and you're not going to. It's like, you just do things the right way.
Love it. I love it. That's great, David. Thank you for giving me some time today, and thank you for giving me grace on my technical foibles there at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah. Tell me and tell the folks out there if they want to find out more about you and Spoke. How can they find you guys? How can they get in touch and start the process of working with you?
So they can, Spoke is just spokemarketing.com, and they can get a newsletter. They can sign up. We can get in touch with you. There's contact forms. And if they want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, David Meyer at Spoke Marketing, not too hard to find.
Sounds pretty easy, man. Well, that's great. David, thanks so much again for your time. Thank you all out there for checking out the show. We'll be back with I think we got another one coming tomorrow. And I think Adrian will be back, so you won't have to look at my tomorrow. I know, right? Someone who knows what they're doing will be hosting the show tomorrow. So David, thanks so much for popping in here, and we're gonna call it a show.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, David. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.